Okay, I want to do the same problem, but I want to show you that, because one of the questions that comes up is, well, are these shapes always going to be broken down for me? And the answer is no, they're not always going to be broken down. You're going to have to come up with how they're broken down. What I want to show you is that you can break these down differently and still come up with the same answer. Okay? And one of the things that we might do, instead of, somebody might look at this, like one of those ink blot tests, and they might say, well, I don't see this rectangle and the small rectangle. You know what I see is I see a big rectangle with a hole cut out of it. So I want to show you that you can get the same answer by breaking it down differently. And I also want to show you how we could handle a shape that is actually a hole. Okay? Could you get the shape that we wanted, the big rectangle and the small rectangle, if this was a sheet of plywood and then you cut this piece out? You could get that same shape, right? So it's just a different way that we're constructing it. All right? How do you think we should handle this cutout? Well, maybe like it's a negative area. Isn't that if it was a piece of plywood and you cut it out, aren't you actually cutting that area out? So let's call it a negative area. You're doing away with it. The big rectangle now would be how big? It'd be 6 by 4, right? Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Okay? How far would I have to move in the big rectangle x-wise to get to its centroid? 3, because it's 6 inches wide. Okay? 24 times 3 is 72. Okay? For my origin in the big rectangle, how far up would I have to go? 2. Area times y is 48. Okay? Now the hole that I have here is actually a square hole. So it's 3 by 3. 3 times 3 is 9. I'm going to call it a negative 9 because I actually cut that out. Now the centroid of the hole lies right here. How far in the x direction do I have to go to get to the centroid of the hole? 4.5. Negative 9 times 4.5 gives me what? Negative 40.5. You can't forget the negative. For my origin, how far up in the y direction do I have to go to get to the centroid of the hole? How far up in the y direction do I have to go? 2.5. Negative 9 times 2.5 gives me what? Negative, what was it? Negative, no, it's negative, negative 18, negative 22.5, right? Isn't that it? What do I do? Sum up the areas. To give me the sum of the areas, that's 15 plus 15. 24 plus a negative 9, 15. Sum of the AXs, 72 plus a negative 40.5 gives me 31.5. And then sum of the AYs gives me, what would that be? 15.5. Is that right? Yeah, you're right. Excuse me, you're right. 25.5. Right? 25.5. So, what do? X bar, sum of the AXs, divided by sum of the area. What do we get there? And the Y bar, the sum of the A of Y's, divided by the sum of the areas. What do we get there? Were those the same values we got the first time around? Should they be? Yeah. Because, I mean, we're still talking about the same shape, still coming from the same origin, so our directions, x, y, x bar, y bar, should be the same. We just broke it down a little bit differently. So you can break this down differently, still end up with the exact same answer.